Music coming good today. So this is a song called We'll All Be Free by William Matthews. There's a world at war, caught in suffering, silent casualties. Oh God, grant us peace. In these sleepless nights, I can hardly breathe. Despite brutality, I know that we'll be free. I know that we'll be free. So let the light in, keep it shining. Let it break into the darkness. All that love dares us to see, we'll all be free. Yeah. Let the light in, keep it shining. Let it break into the darkness. All that love dares us to see, we'll all be free. Yes, we'll all be free. We'll be free, free, we'll all be free. We'll be free, free, we'll all be free. Yes, we'll be free, free, we'll all be free. Oh, we'll be free, free, we'll all be free. Yeah. Let the light in, keep it shining. Let it break into the darkness. All that love dares us to see, we'll all be free. Let the light in, keep it shining. Let it break into the darkness. All that love dares us to see, we'll all be free. Yes, we'll all be free. Oh, we'll all be free.
Friends, it's really good to see you. We've been running around and singing around and jumping around all over this good country because at Vote Common Good, we believe it's really important to say out loud to people that you can make the common good your vote criteria. We think it's important to say to people that no matter what your background, no matter who you've ever voted for in the past, no matter what traditions you come from, you can say that you care about the common good. You care about something more than just yourself. That voting isn't just about your gas prices or important things like inflation. It's also about who are we as a people and who do we include and how are we going to be in this world. Now, you might wonder why we're out doing all this. Why does our bus say faith, hope, and love? Well, it's because for some of us, we come from a religious tradition. I've been an evangelical pastor for my entire adult life. And the people from my religious tradition often believe that if you're going to truly be a white evangelical like me, you have to vote for Republicans. It's as if they went to a Wendy's and ordered the number 2 and it just came with the fries and they thought, well, I just got Republicanism in the bag and it's something I'm just going to eat all the way home. Because no matter how we say it, we're all going to eat those fries on the way home. Even if you tell yourself, I'm only going to eat half the fries. That's an empty container by the time you get home. So you end up with a political identity that you didn't always choose. So we don't go around asking people or telling people, don't vote for a Republican. We tell people, you don't have to vote for a Republican, and if you don't want to, then don't. And you would be surprised how many people are shocked at the notion that to be truly faithful to their religious tradition, they don't have to vote for a Republican. Now, some of that started for people in their own stories. A lot of it started when Donald Trump was elected, but then they started thinking, but you know, it was really going on before that too. It's been happening to me for a long time. Now, we've been traveling around the country reminding people of this. Make the common good. Don't get tied into some political identity. Now, I'll tell you, I'm going to vote for Democrats in this next election. I would encourage you to consider doing the same thing because that really matters to me. But you're going to make your own. I've been a pastor long enough. I know people don't do what pastors tell them to do, so, I'm not worried about it. But people do want to hear that somebody else is up to something, so that's what I'm doing. You can make your own decision. Now, here's the thing. We've been doing this work for 4 years, 5 years. Driving around asking people to make the common good their voting criteria. But thank you, you're very welcome. But this year, we also have to say faith, hope, and love, not insurrections and Christian nationalism. 2 phrases that you probably never thought you'd ever even have to talk about. And nobody wants to talk about them. Nobody wants to talk about Christian nationalism. Nobody wants to have to make an argument that Christians shouldn't be treated with special privilege in the United States. Nobody should have to make the argument to somebody else that Christians should go first and that our government should be based on Christians' idea of how we're supposed to live. Of course not. Now, I am a Christian, I'm a pastor, but that's not how we're supposed to live. And certainly nobody thought that you'd have political parties not being sure if they want to speak against a physical, violent insurrection of the U.S. Capitol. So what we are looking at right now is a political social movement that is election result denying, insurrection supporting, law and order attacking, and democracy downgrading. And that is something we just think we shouldn't have to live with. Now, maybe this is going to pass, or maybe this virus is in our society for all time. I don't know. But what I do know is we've all got a calling on us right now. So we're glad that you're here. We're glad that you're watching online. We're glad that you're here in this field. We're glad that you're here outside of this beautiful church. We're glad that you're here in this great city. Because of all the states where all this stuff matters, there's very few that are as important as the great state of Wisconsin. And this isn't about, I happen to live in Minnesota, and it's not about what state I'm in. We care about Wisconsin because we care about the country. And we have to say that there's an election going on in this country in this state that really matters, and it matters for the entire country. So we're super glad that you're here. We're going to sing to you a little bit. The way our program is going to go is someone's going to talk at you, and then someone's going to sing at you, and they're going to talk at you and sing at you. It's going to be like right foot and left foot, and we're going to move ourselves right down the way, and it's going to be a really great time. So super glad that you're here. Thanks for being with us. This is our friend Brandon. He might already tell you this, but Brandon is from Indiana, but right now living in Chicago.
31 years, got a few friends I can trust. I've got a couple more, baby, but we don't talk that much. I've got a woman, thank God, she's the best that I've ever seen. Well, she keeps me rolling like an 18-wheel machine. And I'm on a roll, singing, hey, America. See, I'm looking for a sign, hey, America. Just some little sign of a light. I'm an Indiana boy with a heart that won't sit still. Oh yeah, my cup is running over, but I still ain't got my fill. So won't you pray for me, Mary, that I keep my spirit right? And can you help me, Jesus, when I wanna give up this fight? 'Cause I'm on a roll. See, I've been rolling on. Yeah, I'm on a roll. Oh, oh, oh. Hey, America. See, I'm looking for a sign. Hey, America. Of the night, there's this rain coming down, but I think I see our light. Hey, America. Hey, America. Hey, America.
Hey friends, I'm Lisa. I'm the pastor here at this church, and I just baptized a little baby boy, and his name is Hank, here in this city where Hank Aaron did a whole lot of great things that we enjoyed watching and seeing. So little baby Hank is going to go on and be raised in faith by his parents, and that's a lovely, wonderful thing. And be baptized into a church like this that works hard at making sure people in the neighborhood know that we value them and we respect them and they have inherent dignity is the kind of thing that we're about. The common good. The common good. So 105 years before baby Hank was baptized in this church, a man named Frank Zeidler was baptized in this church. And Frank Zeidler, Milwaukeeans know a whole lot about, but I want to tell you just this one little piece. When Frank Zeidler was growing up, he was being raised in faith here at Redeemer Church, and as he grew to his adulthood, he said, I need to figure out where I land politically on things, and how the society should be organized, and how it should run, and what the priorities should be. And so he actually cast about, and he researched the various political kinds of things that he could be involved in. And it was from what he understood of the gospel of Jesus Christ that he then ran under the banner that he did. And he was the last of that kind as the mayor of Milwaukee from 1948 to 1960. So for all of those reasons, it makes sense that I said, yes, you can park a huge orange bus in front of the church right now, because we are as much about things like baptisms and communion and prayer as we are our civic part of our lives, going to vote, being informed about your choices, and understanding the impact of those choices for what will happen and how we'll live together here. I notice that this isn't the kind of rally that CNN is probably going to cover. Maybe it will, or any other, Fox News not going to cover, because guess what? It's not dangerous. We don't have people yelling about hateful things about one another. We don't have anybody doing anything too outrageous right now. We don't have flags that are offensive. So faith, hope, and love, hopefully, is just so embedded that we don't need to have throngs saying, yes, faith, hope, and love, because it's all in our hearts. That's my deepest, deepest hope. But I'll tell you this, also as a pastor, I have this great little group of senior citizens. We meet for Bible study. And I'll say, senior citizens, come on over, get away from your coffee for a minute, and let's study how much God loves you. And they just keep on drinking their coffee. Like, come on over, let's talk about how Jesus has worked in your lives. Yeah, we're good. All right, let's do a study on demons and the power of the devil. There's a human curiosity about that. There's something that itches a different type of the brain. I'm glad that we're here to itch your heart today. So let's scratch that heart with some good music and some good rousing cheers to the polls that we care about more than just ourselves. We care more about just ourselves. So let's vote the common good. Thanks for being here. Bye-bye.
Love is but a song we sing. Here's the way we die. You can make the mountains ring, or make the angels cry. Though the wing, and you may not know why. Come on now, sing it with me. Come on, people now, smile on your brother, everybody get together, try to love one another right now. Pretty good. Some may come and some may go, God will surely last. When the one that left us here returns for us at last, we are but a moment's sunlight If you hear the song I sing, you will understand. You hold the key to love and fear, all in your trembling hand. Just one key unlocks them both. It's there at your command. Come on, people now, smile on your brother. Everybody get together, try to love one another right now. Come on, people now, smile on your sister. Everybody get together, try to love one another right now. I said, come on, people now, smile on each other. Everybody get together, try to love one another right now. Right now. Right now. All for the common good. We got to love one another right now.
Hey, everybody. My name is Jonah, and I am a pastor, and I'm also just someone who loves Jesus. Now, that's confusing to some people when they look at me, when they know that I'm a millennial, when they know that I live in a city, when they know that I grew up with a lot of people who left the church. But I love Jesus. I was taught to choose Jesus, to choose the way of love, the radical vision for love that Jesus taught, that I learned in the Gospels growing up. And I actually get the privilege of leading a community of young people right now, Zao MKE Church. I'm the lead pastor. And it's wild because we have to do a lot of re-examining our faith, a lot of reconstruction, deconstruction. And a lot of the things that come up are when people say, I love Jesus. I'm still here because of Jesus. But I'm so confused because I don't see the leadership who taught me about the love of Jesus always reflecting that love. They're choosing something else, and I want to choose Jesus. And for a while, that meant leaving the church. Now, we are trying to build the church, contribute to the body of Christ, build a community of faithful believers who are seeking after full vision. But it is hard when a lot of the leaders who we see in the world who claim to be Christian are choosing a different path, choosing something so different than what we see Jesus being in the scriptures and in our lives. You see, we as a community have dedicated ourselves to be Jesus-rooted, justice-centered, and radically inclusive. And all of those build on each other. So we start with the Jesus we see in the Gospels, and we see that he's committed himself, his teachings, his life, his ministry, his death and resurrection to care for the poor, mercy, and justice. And that creates a radically inclusive environment around him where all these people are saying, who are you to hang out with those people? Those people aren't wanted here. But Jesus is committed to that radically inclusive world and vision, and so are we. And so when I hear people sometimes openly identifying as Christian nationalists or major leaders not denouncing that ideology, it's real confusing to me because the Christian nationalists that are out there are giving a message of exclusion and hate, of domination and power over, and that seems so anti-Jesus to me. If the Christian nationalists are right about God's vision for America, then I would imagine that Jesus would have been born to the son of a Roman emperor, right? But when we go back to our Bible, when we go back to our scriptures, the Holy Word, we see that Jesus was born to an unmarried, teenage Jewish mother in rural, occupied Palestine. And that tells us a lot about who God is and who God chooses to dwell in and among and where power really comes from. Jesus was a refugee in his early years. Jesus questioned the religious authorities in his community. Jesus stood up to the police state and to the powers that wanted to dominate. And so if we want to follow Jesus, we better think twice about associating ourselves with Christian nationalism, which is the modern-day Roman Empire. It is the project of domination. Now we can't just dwell in Jesus' birth, right? We have to march with Jesus to the cross. And so what did Jesus do? He wept over Jerusalem. He wept over the halls of power. And then he chose to enter into the fray. This is our God who chooses to be with us in the midst of it all. Now, during that time, during the Passover, the people in power were worried about those without power getting a little restless, remembering their God of liberation, the God who creates a community that is inclusive, a God who creates a place for all people, especially the marginalized. And so the powers that be, they got all their military regalia. They got together, they got on their chariots and their horses, and they brought out all their biggest national imagery. And they were marching in from one side of Jerusalem to make their presence known, to say this is the theology of empire. So what did Jesus do? He got on a donkey. His people brought branches and the shouts, the cries of their heart. And we had coming in one side from the west and one side from the east, two very different visions of power, two very different images of faithfulness. The Christian nationalists want to choose the chariots. I want to choose Jesus. Choose Jesus with me. Thank you.
Well, thank you so much. Good to be back in Milwaukee. And like you, Jonah, I grew up trying to choose Jesus, and that's what I was taught, and that's why I was so confused when in 2016, 81% of white evangelicals chose someone who looks the opposite of Jesus. And even after those Trump years, good Christian people are doubling down on this America first, me first ideology. And so I wrote a song about it, and maybe you'll find yourself in this story as well. I grew up in your churches, Sunday morning and evening service, knelt in tears at the foot of the rugged cross. You taught me every life is sacred, feed the hungry and clothe the naked. I learned from you the highest law is love. And I believed you when you said I should trust the words in red to guide my steps through a wicked world. I assumed you'd do the same, so imagine my dismay when I watched you lead the sheep straight to the wolves. You said to love the lost, I'm loving you now. You said to speak the truth, well, I'm calling you out. Why don't you live the words that you put in my mouth? May love overcome and justice roll down. Oh, they started putting kids in cages, ripping mothers from their babies, and I looked to you to speak on their behalf. Oh, but all I heard was silence, or worse, you justified it, singing glory, hallelujah, raise the flag. See, your fear had turned to hatred, but you baptized it with language torn from the pages of the good book. And you weaponized religion, and you wonder why I'm leaving to find Jesus on the wrong side of your walls. You said to love the lost, well, I'm loving you now. You said to speak the truth, Well, I'm calling you out. Why don't you live the words that you put in my mouth? May love overcome and justice roll down. Come home, come home. You're better than this. Oh, you taught me better than this. Come home, come home. You're better than this. I used to think you were better than this. Come home, come home. Oh. Maybe I was too naive, or I just didn't want to see that there's always been a little poison in the well. Our churches sit on stolen land, a nation built by stolen hands, and we use the Bible to justify it all. Yeah, from slavery and segregation to mass incarceration. This is who we are, but not who we have to be. There's a lot of work to do to pull up the evil by the roots, but repentance has to come before there's peace. You said to love the lost, I'm trying to love you now. You said to speak the truth, well, I'm calling you out. Why don't you live the words that you put in my mouth? May love overcome and justice roll down. May love overcome and justice roll down. Justice roll down. Oh, may love overcome and justice roll down. Thank you so much.
Well, bravo, bravo. That's a great line. We haven't heard a bravo, bravo before. We're going to take you with us. That is a great combo. Jonah and Dan. And then that little combo of Lisa and Jeff. I mean, that's some power, people talking like that. When Jeff started singing that song, a bunch of us sang along. Come on, people now, smile on your brothers. It's a Youngblood song. It was written in 1966. I was born in 1966. Every day of my life, that song has been sung by people in this country. And yet we're still having to say, come on, people now, smile on your brother. Everybody get together and let's try to love one another right now, because we're never going to be done saying that. And that question that Jonah raised and that question that Dan raised, can we live out this justice story? That's how I got into the Christian faith. I wasn't raised in Christianity. My parents were tired of religion like a lot of people are now. That's been a story for a long time. And they said, we're not going to cause our children to be polluted with religion. Choose it if you want. Part of the reason I travel the country and say to people, choose it if you want, is because my parents said to me, choose it if you want. And some of us choose it and some of us don't want to. But those are perennial questions. This is what you do. You say to each other, love one another. You say to each other, let's make the common good our collective action in our politics and our civic life. Let's say to one another, do you want to follow faith or do you not want to follow faith? Let's do that work. Let's keep doing it. These are not new stories. These are not new questions. Now, I got to sit through a beautiful church service. Some of you feel like you've already sat through a church service out here. It's one more little mini sermon. I keep thinking about Jesus having to say to the people who came to challenge him, give to God what is God and to Caesar what is Caesar's. You know that little line? They brought him a coin. They were trying to trick him. They were trying to get the the Roman government, as Jonah so well articulated, to come down against Jesus, or to get the religious people to move against Jesus. And Jesus said, look, as human beings, which is, I think, Jesus' primary goal, to get us to live as full human beings. That's why he's called the Son of Man. That's why he's called the big brother in the faith. That's why he's called the Son of God, right? So we can all live in the family of God, with Jesus as a big brother. Trying to help us figure out how to live as humans. He's saying as human beings, we got to figure out our religious identity. You give to God what is God's, and to the government's identity. That's okay. Figure that out. Work on it. It's not easy. We've been wrestling with this question as a country from the very founding. In fact, right after they wrote a constitution, they said, let's start a bunch of amendments to clarify some things. And in amendment number 1, we're going to start talking about faith and government, religion and government, because it's embedded in the conversations we should be having. Let's have them. Let's raise the questions. I'm tired of people saying, like, hey, when you get together with your families, don't talk about religion, don't talk about politics. Okay, maybe don't do it over dinner, but set a time. Have a time. We need to break the no-talk rules that exist in our families, in our hearts, in our minds, and start talking about this. If our nation were to sit down in a good old-fashioned family therapy session, the therapist would say, you got a bunch of no-talk rules going on. Y'all got to figure out how to talk about this stuff. So let's find out ways to talk about it. And the one thing I know is we're never going to get better by telling other people to be quiet. It just doesn't work. So let's not tell other people not to talk. Let's hear them out. And then let's say something as well. Contribute, engage, listen. Give to God what is God's, which is one another and consideration of each other. And give to the government what is the government's. Sure, we got to figure that out. Every person in every place has had to figure out how we're going to live together. That's called politics. It's just hard work. I mean, I can't figure out how to live with myself, to be honest with you. I'm in a wrestling match with my own self on a regular basis about which one of me is going to control my next, part of my day, right? It's really hard to do. Just to live is hard. So we can do this work, but we have to start talking about it. And we have to care about all of the things. Part of what it means for me as an inclusive pastor is I want to start a church that included people of all sexual orientations, of all beliefs, of all races, of all the ways. And it's really hard. Most people don't want to be in a church with me. I know that. I don't want to be in a church with everybody else too. I don't know. We kind of got to figure that out, but I didn't want to have a door closed. I wanted it to be open. We're traveling the country talking about Christian nationalism. I'm going to say a bit more about that today. And if you want to join us tomorrow, we're going to have a whole seminar on it here tomorrow. And then over in Green Bay, we're going to do it. And then we're going to go over to just outside of Madison in McFarland. And we're going to do it over there in McFarland. And then we're going to ride all over the country and do these things because we want people to help figure out. So if you're into that conversation, we'd love to have you do that. But the thing is, we can't say you're not included. Here's the hard thing for me about Christian nationalists. Not only do I disagree with them, not only do I think it's a threat to the well-being of many people who live in this country and on this planet, but we're in this country together. We're on this planet together. We're humans together. We're in this faith together. I'm not one who's fond of telling other people they're not included in the faith that they want to claim. I mean, enough people tell me that I'm not included in the faith that I claim, so I don't think that works very well, and I don't want to say that to other people. So this is our work. How do we embrace everybody and get us to move forward? It's really hard, so we're going to encourage you to, to act in that with empathy and with goodness and with prayer, however it is that you do that. Introduce to you again our friend Brandon. Brandon, are you doing Justice? Are you doing that Justice song? Brandon wrote this little song. We do a lot of live streams and live meetings like this, and I don't know, there's some meeting going on, and Brandon said, I think I'm going to make a song. Did you make it on the spot, or did you just make it that afternoon? Like a couple hours before. Just came up with a little ditty about 8 months ago. I think it was a meeting that was going on asking people to rally around and stop the government from executing one of its own citizens in the United States of America, trying to stop the death penalty. And this call, this is what we're talking about here. Thanks, Brandon.
Where is this justice? The justice we need. Tell me where
when I marched in the street, I began to see, I saw that the justice we need is the justice that needs me. Tell me, where is the healing? Where is the healing we need? Oh, please, where is this healing? I know we all want to see. And when I turn on my TV, I still see so much disease. I see that the healing we need is the healing that needs me. Tell me, where is the peace that we need? Oh, please, where is this peace that we all want to see? And so I phoned an old friend. I said, I am sorry for the grief. I see that the peace that we need is the peace that needs me. And I see that the healing we need is the healing that needs me. And I see that the justice we need is the justice that needs me.
Are you all finished? I am. Okay, thank you. All right. I am Reverend Christy Melby Gibbons. Woo! A Moravian pastor, and I am so grateful for the words of particularly Pastor Jonah and Pastor Doug. I could reiterate everything they said. I grew up in the church, well steeped, though, for me, in ultra-conservative fundamentalism. My family of origin, we had a framed picture of the Bush family on our mantle, and to this day there are MAGA hats and Make America Great Again signs in the yard. That's who I come from. It's not who I became. I have grown away from that. I was in a tradition that told me that as a female, I cannot speak in a church setting. I was taught this from the age I could first hear up until I was early into my adult years, and then realized that all my life I had been called to be a pastor, a preacher of good news. And watch out, world, because now this mama found her voice, and I am ordained, and nobody can stop me. So that's where I am, and I am part of the Moravian Church, which is the oldest Protestant denomination. The Lutherans, you can thank us for where you are today. So in the Moravian Church, we have a very simple theology, which is why I'm attracted to it. It's very basic, Jesus-centered, but we have this idea that there are essentials to our faith. And it's not a big volume of essentials. It's three things that are essential. And so the three things are that God acts. So God does these three things. And let me tell you what those are. God creates, God redeems, and God makes us holy. Those are all things that happen independent of what we do. And then we do three things in response. We respond in faith, love, and hope. We inverted the Moravians. You can now hear me out. I understand that historically the apostles spoke of these three things as being what remains, right? These are the three things that are there after everything's shaken out, right? Faith, it's okay. We have it. To some degree, it changes over time. Love, I like it. We need it. It's there. But hope is the thing with wings. Without hope, we are closer to despair. We are closer to our own demise. We just shrivel up without hope. And so for Moravians, we invert that last one, and we say that our response to God's loving action is that we respond in faith, love, and hope. That hope of the big three is the greatest for us. And I am reminded that this hope is not just hope for a few people. It's not hope for the ones who are believing in the right way, acting in the right way. This is hope for the entire human race. This is hope for things beyond the human race, for all of the interconnectedness of life. There is hope for all of that. And if it doesn't include all of that, it's not of God. So I want to share, as I end my time here today, a quote from Reverend Peg Chamberlain. I don't know if you are familiar with her. She is a Moravian. Historically, I think she's in the United Church of Christ now, but she was the president of the National Council of Churches fairly recently. But she said this: if it's not good for the whole world, it's probably not God's hope. And it's so simple. If it's not good for the whole world, it's probably not God's hope. It is that basic. That's how we have to make every decision, politically, ecclesiologically. How we do things as the church and as a nation has to be considerate of everyone for it to be of God. Amen? Amen. My partner in life and crime and parenting is coming up with our friend, son, nephew, to play a song. David, you want to share about this song? This is David Melby Gibbons.
Hi there, friends.
And Elisha
So-
Brown. Eli.
We have a short song, but I would like you to sing along with it as you learn it. It won't be familiar probably to you.
Okay, I don't want to get in your way. Thank you.
So as I think about confronting what is unhealthy in others, ourselves, in communities, I think of a lot of it stemming, what we're confronting stems from fear. And how do you handle fear when fear goes rampant and you face it? Yeah.
Yeah.
So the song I want to sing, I invite you to join in on, is taken from the very simple text from the New Testament. There is no fear in love. Perfect love casts out fear. There is no fear in love. Perfect love casts out fear. There is no fear in love. Perfect love casts out fear. Casts out fear.
Sing along if you're ready.
There is no fear in love. Perfect love casts out fear. There is no fear in love. Perfect love casts out fear. Casts out in love, perfect love casts out fear. There is no fear in love, perfect love casts out fear, casts out fear, cast out fear.
Oh, wow. So great. My name is Rob Ryerson. I'm a pastor from Fayetteville, Arkansas, and it's a real privilege to be with you today. I was born and raised a Republican of the Republicans, to steal a little phrase from the Apostle Paul. I grew up, very Republican. I was a caller to the Rush Limbaugh show, got on the air 5 times. Mega dittos, right? Yeah, or something like that. I had, we didn't have a picture of the Bush family on our mantle, but I did have a picture of a freshman congressman from Georgia on my wall, a guy named Newt Gingrich that nobody ever heard of, but I had a subscription to National Review magazine, went to teenage Republican school as camp, in the summer. So you're laughing at me because I basically grew up a dork. That's kind of what I'm saying, right? Boy. So I grew up like deeply steeped in being a Republican as a part of my identity. And like Doug said earlier, it was like the fries that came along with the combo meal. Because I was a Christian, I was a Republican. It was because of that I was so deeply disturbed in 2016 when Donald Trump got elected president. And the day after Election Day, I just could not believe what my tribe had done, what my tribe had foisted on the country. And so I woke up with with 2 questions in my mind the next day. One was, what happened? What happened to the Republican Party I grew up in? What happened to, what I had experienced? What happened? And I realized that in a lot of ways that the Republican Party had changed. It wasn't the same party it had been much earlier. It had exchanged traditional conservative values for authoritarianism. It was a party that had traded integrity for political victories. It was a party that had become increasingly about protecting and preserving the power and the privilege of a very few and ignoring the rest of folks. It was a party that had just abandoned so much of what I thought it stood for. Now, we could be honest, as Dan sang earlier, there's always been a little poison in the well, right? We can go back and say, oh, there was this and this and this and this, and that's true. But I think in addition to the Republican Party changing over time, I think I changed too. I think I became increasingly aware of how important it is to be inclusive of all people, that everybody gets a seat at the table, everybody's voice matters. I think the more I became concerned about living in a just and generous society, the less I could go along with what I saw happening in the party of my youth. And I think the more that I recognize that that there's something more important than just what's in it for me and the tax cuts I might get someday when I get rich. And I realized that, the common good is really the thing that we ought to be about. I realized that I had changed. And so when I asked that question of what happened, the Republican Party changed, but so did I. The other question that was kind of rolling around in my head is, okay, what do I do? What do I do now? Because I felt like I had to do something. Felt like this moment was calling me to do something. So what ended up happening for me is in 2018, I ran for Congress. And I don't know if you ever had that day where you get up and you go through and you have a normal day and you do all your normal things and you go to bed that night thinking, I might run for Congress. I had that day. It's a weird one. And, I didn't win, obviously, but I did learn a lot along the way, and it led to a whole lot of new experiences for me and new opportunities for me. And I got to tell you this. Here's the thing. More than anything, here's what I've learned. You've got to do the thing that you've got to do. That thing that is yours to do, you've got to do it. Whether it's running for office like it was for me, or getting on a bus and going around the country, as a Republican who campaigns for Democrats now, because that's what Donald Trump has done to the world, just turned everything upside down. Whatever that thing is for you to do, whether it's donating to a candidate, getting involved, having a difficult conversation with a family member or friend, knocking on some doors, making some phone calls, sending some texts, and absolutely on November 8th, absolutely voting. Whatever it is that you've got to do, you've got to do it. Now, maybe you look at the situation that we're in the country. You watched the insurrection on January 6th, and you thought, oh my goodness, this is so much bigger than I imagined. Or you hear about the Christian nationalism, and you see what's happening in the country, and you just think, this is too much, this is too big. And the little thing that I might do, the little donation I might make, the few doors I might knock on, the one vote that I have, it's just so small in comparison. Well, I'm a pastor, make sense of my life from the biblical story, and throughout the biblical story, it's all about little things that make a big difference. 5 little stones that knock down a giant. Some bread and some fish that feed a multitude. Small little things that can make a huge difference. So my encouragement to you today is to do that thing that you are called to do. Whatever it is that is yours to do, do it. We need you to do it. Thank you.
Hey, thanks, y'all. Really appreciate you being here. We have this little joke we like to say. There's 4 things that get us around this country. You know what 3 of them are already. Faith, love, and hope, as the Moravians would say. And you know what the 4th is? Diesel. Diesel gets this big thing around the country, so we like to say we like you in the tank with us and on the bus with us. So if you want to make a donation or anything over there, you're more than welcome to. We turn that straight into fuel, and it gets us around the country. We'd love to give you a shirt or a hat or a sign. If you don't have any money, you just want a shirt or a hat or a sign, we'd love to just send you home with one. So feel free to enjoy yourself with one of those. And then on the bus, I don't know, maybe you want to ride with us and come back here tomorrow for training on Christian nationalism. Maybe you want to hop on the bus and go to Green Bay or go over to Milwaukee or go to Kentucky or wherever we're going. Or better yet, maybe you want to grab one of those markers and be on the bus in name and name only, but still pretty good. You get to sign your name on that bus. So we'd love to have your name. We just got the bus the other day, so we're just getting started. People all over the country. You can sign it for yourself. Somebody wants to come up with the little sweeties and help them sign their names. That would be just great. Yeah, maybe a little helper would be a good thing. Now, when we go, some people think, "Hey, you guys only care about Democrats." Of course not. We're going to be in Michigan next week, and we're supporting Republican candidates who are running there. So it's not about being a Republican or a Democrat. It's about the common good. But it's also saying to people, if you support an insurrection or you want to support Christian nationalism, we need to speak out about it. Everybody needs to tell their own story. So we hope today you're hearing people's stories. But hearing somebody's story doesn't mean that's your story. Maybe you're going to do another thing. Maybe you're going to find another path. Maybe you're going to find another way to go. That's what you're called to do. For you to give to God what is God's and to whatever your Caesar is to Caesar. Maybe it's just a salad. I don't know. Maybe you're going to sit out this election. Maybe you're like, I'm not going to have anything to do. Well, that's up to you. We're not here to tell you how to act or what to do. We're here to encourage you to figure out for you what can you and should you do. This is what faith ought to do, right? Is to empower us to move. Those three words, faith, hope, and love, they're all verbs. They're all action. In fact, some way I'm trying to wrap up sort of what Einstein did with space and time and said it's space-time. That's how you understand gravity. Maybe faith, hope, and love aren't even three other things. Maybe they're all one thing. Maybe we're all in this one thing together. And maybe we're all part of all of these same things. So that's what we're calling you to do. And we'd love for you to feel like you're part of this with us. Keep up with us. We're going to keep traveling. We don't just work through Election Day. We tend to only live on a bus for short periods of time. But we do a lot of work sort of ongoing and all the time. We'd love to have you feel like you're part of this movement, because we know that we've been in a real three-thing business going on here, haven't we? But we know three things have to be in place for someone to go through a change, especially a habitual change or a deep mind change. Someone needs to give them new information. For sure, all the time. Think about any change someone's gone through. Somebody that maybe goes through drug treatment, or somebody that maybe goes through a change in exercise pattern, or how they eat, or maybe they're going to pick up guitar or something like that, and they're going to do something new. Somebody has to give them new information. But information's not enough. You also need an invitation to act on that. So someone has to invite. We do a lot of that work in the world. We go out and try to invite people. Come and join us. Find your thing. Go look over there. Maybe there's something over there. Maybe the kingdom of God is like all of those things. You can find it. Someone needs to invite you. Just think about your own story of change. You learned something, then someone said something, and you started to act in a new way. And then this third most important is a community of participation. Someone says, you can be doing that with us. It's what beautiful communities like this do. Diverse communities, diverse in religion, diverse in politics, diverse in culture, diverse in life, diverse in economics. That's what's good. Nobody telling people what to say and not to say. People saying, you matter to us, not just what you think and what you do. You, as a person, matter. And you can be part of us and join us and walk with us. So it's information, it's invitation, but it's participation. So I hope you feel inspired, we hope you feel informed, and we hope you feel invited to be part of all this. Dan's going to sing us out of here, and then we'd love to hang around. We're actually going to be here for a couple hours because we have a live stream to do this afternoon. I'm going to be on an NPR show, and we got a couple of things to do. So we're not in a huge rush to leave, but we get it if you all have life to live on, but we're just living in a bus with, nowhere else to go. So we're going to be hanging around, and we'd be glad to have you hang around as long as you want with us.
Well, as you have maybe heard it said, no one is free until we're all free. So we're going to close with that song we started with. Just a reminder of that. We'll be free, free, we'll all be free, yeah, we'll be free, free, we'll all be free, oh, we'll be free, free, we'll all be free, yes, we'll be free, free, we'll all be free, yeah, so let the light in, keep it shining. Let it break into the darkness. All that love is us to see. We'll all be free. Let the light in, keep it shining. Let it break into the darkness. All that love is us to see. We'll all be free. Yes, we'll all be free. Oh, we'll all be free. Faith, hope, and love for change on Election Day. Take care, Milwaukee.